What's up everybody, it's Luke James, not the singer, and I'm here to bring you my review for Roth's new album, RetroHash. Now Roth has been around for many years. He's known for making the XXL freshman cover back in 2009, I believe it was. And he also released that song, I Love College, which swept the nation, and people were just going crazy about this kid, saying that he was the next Great White Hope, he was going to be the next Eminem, etc., etc. But he never lived up to that hype to me. Right from the start, I felt like he was sort of a gimmicky rapper. He had the whole frat boy thing going on. He was really pushing that envelope. His raps were kind of goofy and silly, and I just wasn't a fan of it, even though I thought he could rap. Now, this RetroHash album is nothing like his old material. This is such a different album. I was pleasantly surprised by this. It almost doesn't even sound like a rap album because there's a lot of singing on it. Some of the production, most of the production actually, has a sort of guitar-ridden feel to it. It's very stonery and almost new wave-ish. The whole album is done by the production team Blended Babies, who I personally have never heard of before, but they created a nice soundscape for this album because every song sort of flows together, which is always the benefit of when you have one producer or production team for your whole album. Now I think the problem a lot of people are going to have with this is that it's very different. Roth really is experimenting on this album. He definitely moved away from the frat boy gimmick and is sort of trying to find his own sound with this album. You can look at the single Tangerine Girl, for example, which I can't even really describe it except for saying that it sounds like something that was left off a Gorillaz album. It has a very different feel to it. Then there's songs like Parties at the Disco, excuse me, where it's very slow, the hook he's kind of crooning a little bit, thinking about the past, and it's just not really a rap feel to it. It's almost got a sort of hipster vibe to it. But he does come through with some good rap collaborations. Currency is featured on the song Dude, which is just a boom bap beat, just that old school type of shit. But the verses on there, they don't really shine. Currency's verse is alright, but Currency to me, I've never been a big fan of him. I think he's good at what he does. I think he's got a solid fan base, but it's not often he has verses that blow me away. I find his delivery sort of just slow and boring. I don't want to say lazy because he's a very hard worker, but it's not for me. But if you like Currency, you might appreciate the song Dude. The standout feature on this is Vic Mensa on the song Fast Life, which that is the best song on the album, I would say. It's just all about how people get caught up in the fast life, and you can't do that. You got to take your time and try to figure out what it is you want to do. Roth's verse is about a young girl who gets caught up in the fast life, messing around with older guys, that sort of thing, whereas Vic Mensa is rapping about how he was caught up in the fast life, just trying to make it in music, but people were telling him to slow down and to take his time. So the themes are almost dueling on there, where Roth's verse is saying, you gotta slow down, you get in trouble, and Vic Mensa's is saying, by pushing like he did and living the fast life in his own way, that's what made him succeed. So I thought that was a really interesting song. Another couple of songs that stood out to me were Pull It and Something for Nothing. Those were both relationship related songs. Pull It had a really cool beat to it. It kind of is simplistic. It sounds like a Nintendo beat, like something you would hear in Dragon Warrior when the king is telling you to go save the princess or some shit. Listen to the beat, you'll know what I mean. Just picture that when you're listening to the beat and you'll say, damn, Lucas was right. He's sort of saying he has his finger in the air and he will pull it, which as far as I read into it, I thought it was about how sometimes a relationship isn't going the way you want to, so you just got to pull the trigger on ending it, so to speak. Whereas Something for Nothing, he's rapping and singing about how if you want something for nothing, he can't do it. I mean, we've all been in relationships like that before where you're putting in so much and you're getting nothing in return, and all in all, that's not going to work out. So those two songs were cool. They had the relationship theme going on. There's really not much more I can say about this album because it's only 10 tracks long, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. I mean, sometimes it's annoying when these rappers put out albums that are like 20 songs deep and you got 4 interludes on there and you got a bunch of songs that sound the same. Some of them just don't belong. Some of them are just lazy, whatever. This is a pretty good collection of 10 solid songs, so in a way I do appreciate it, but I think if it was a little bit longer, maybe we could have got some more depth out of this album. But I really appreciate that Roth moved away from the frat boy gimmick and is experimenting and stepping outside to sort of find himself and create his own sound. And I think he did a great job. I think he was successful with it. I'm not sure if it's an album that I'm personally going to keep in regular rotation, but there's a couple songs on it that are good. It has a very laid-back, positive vibe to it. If you are a stoner, you'll really like this album. There's a weed-smoking vibe to it, man. I mean, you know what I mean? It has that hazy feel to it where it's sort of mellow. All in all, I'd give this album a 3.5 out of 5. A lot of those points come from the fact that it's original. It's very different sounding. His lyricism is, it's not as in-depth as I think it could be. Like, I think Asher Roth could really go into a lot more depth. A lot of the songs he sort of just covers the surface of his material. On the songs, Pull It and Something for Nothing, for example, I think those are about relationships and the problems with them, but I'm not 100% sure because he's sort of vague with what he's saying. So I think his lyricism definitely could have been better, but I appreciate the vibe of the album all in all, and I think if you listen to a couple songs on here and you like them, you'll like most of the songs. You might not love them all, but it does have a good vibe to it, and a 3.5 out of 5 sounds fair to me. So that's what it is. Asher Roth, RetroHash. Check it out. You might like it. You might be surprised. If you wanted the old Asher Roth, you're not going to get that, but if you weren't a fan of Asher Roth and you're curious what he's up to, you might really like this.